Assalamu alaikum students, this is Farwa Batool, your O-level computer science instructor, and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about bubble sort algorithm. I have already made part 1 of bubble sort in which I have given you a general understanding of this algorithm, that how a bubble sort algorithm is going to work. But in this video, we are going to see the detail of the algorithm, its line of code one by one, and then we will see how it can sort a list of numbers. So here we go. Please watch the previous video, part 1 video, if you haven't watched before, because that is important, or that is, we can say, prerequisite for this video. Now, here we have the line of code for the algorithm of bubble sort. In order to make you understand this, I have here written some temperatures. These are 10 values of temperatures that is not in ascending order. Like we have 21, 7, 51, 6, 20, 5, 39, 9, 40, 12. So these are the 10 different values for temperature, and our purpose is to make them in ascending order using a bubble sort algorithm. So now quickly moving towards the line of code here. Initially we have two variables. There is a first variable that assigned a value 1, and there is a last variable that assigned a value 10. It means first is going to point towards the first item in the list and last is going to point towards the 10th item in the list. Now, after these two variables, we are having a repeat until loop. It is very important to see the conditions, terminating conditions for a repeat until loop. It is going to terminate only if there is no need for numbers to swap. Why there is no need to swap? Because already your list is in ascending order. So if this condition becomes true, then you have to go out of your loop. Or the second condition is last equals to 1. It means there is only one number left to compare. Left to compare. So in both the cases, there is no more need to make the items in ascending order because they are already in ascending order. So in both the cases, we don't need a repeat until loop and we will go out of the loop. If either of these conditions becomes true, either there is no need to swap or either it is the last number to compare. Now, we will only move inside the loop when there is a need to swap and there are lots of numbers to compare. When we will go inside the repeat until loop, the first thing we will do is make the swap variable false. Why? Because this is going to tell me that either we need a swap or not. When we will do a swap, then we will make this variable true. Otherwise, there is no need to make it true. And if it remains false, then we will understand that there is no need to swap or no more swap needed. Okay, next to it is a for loop. For loop is very, very important. It's an iterative loop. It is going to compare the first value till the last value. Look at its index value. The index value is going to tell us how many iterations are needed. So it starts with the first variable. First variable has a value 1 initially. So it is going to start from 1, the first iteration, to last minus 1. Last has a value 10. So 10 minus 1 equals to 9. These are the initial values. Let me write it over here. The last has a value, sorry, not last, starting with the swap variable that is false initially. Then we have two variables. The first variable has a value 1 and the last variable has a value 2, sorry, 10. And for the first time, when we go inside for loop, what we will do, we will see how many iterations are needed. So the index value here is, for the first time, the index value will go from 1 till 9. As we have seen, last minus 1 is 9. So we have 9 iterations. Remember that. Now, for the first iteration, the index value is 1. I'm writing everything in detail to make it clear for you. Now, when for the first iteration, index is 1 and it will go till 9. After that, we will go inside the for loop. We will see what to do in every iteration. You have to check for temperature index and temperature index plus 1. What it means, let me put the value of index here to make you understand. We have to check for temperature index, that is temperature, putting the value of index as 1 for the first iteration. If it is greater than temperature index plus 1, again putting the value 1 in index, 1 plus 1 is 2. So it means you have to compare the first two values in your list. So the first two values are, look at here, 21 and 7. So we will see 21 is greater than 7. Yes, the condition is true. When the condition is true, you have to follow these line of code. These are the four. These line of codes are to do a swapping function. Why we need a swap? Because remember, whenever your first value is larger than the second value, then it is not in ascending order. That's why we need to swap the values. For swapping, we must have to use a temporary variable so that it can store temperature 1 value. Temperature 1 value means 21. And then temperature index or temperature 1 at index 1 will get a value 7. That is for index 2. In temperature index 2 for index plus 1, 1 plus 1 that is 2 will get a value of temporary variable that we just set here 21. In this case, we are doing swapping and at last the swap variable becomes true because this is how we do swap and we makes the variable true. Here we go. This is first iteration. Now, quickly doing the second iteration. Because remember, we have to go till the ninth iteration. For the second iteration, make the index value 2. Now you have to compare index and index plus 1. Index is 2 now, index plus 1 is 3. Second and the third value, 7 and 51. Oh, I'm really sorry. I need to change these values because these are now swapped. We have 21, 7 here and 21 here. Now 21 and 51 will be compared. There is no need to swap. Why? Because both the values are in right order. 21 is less than 51. So we will not move forward with the swapping function because that is the if condition is false. Coming with let's move towards the third iteration. In the third iteration, you have to check for the third and the fourth value. Index and index plus 1, that is fourth value. Third and the fourth value is 51 and 6. Definitely we need a swap here because 51 is greater than 6. So putting the value here 51 greater than 6, putting 51 in temporary variable, that is the temperature 3 value. Temperature index 3 will get a value of 6, that is temperatures index plus 1 or temperature index 4 value. Now we have temperature index 4, which will be assigned the value of temporary variable, that is 51. So in this case, we can also write it here that 6 will be at position 3 and 51 will be at position 4. So this is just the same thing that I have showed you in the previous video, that you have to compare two values, and if there is not ascending order, then you have to swap them. Now swapping is already true, swap variable. Moving towards fourth iteration quickly. For the fourth iteration, you have to see fourth and the fifth value. It is 51, it is 20. Quickly swap them. Changing all these values to make you clear that how we are doing it. Okay, now coming towards fourth and the fifth term. Temperature 4 is 51 and temperature 5 is 20. So putting 51 in temporary variable, then temperature 4 will get a value 20 and temperature 5 will get a value of temporary variable that is 51. Swap is already true. Make changes here. 21, sorry. At fourth position, we have 20. At fifth position, I have 51. Doing the fifth iteration. In fifth iteration, look at fifth and the sixth value, 51 and 5. Again, we need a swap. So changing all these values, we have to see fifth and the sixth term. Fifth term is 51, sixth term is 5. Big difference. Put 51 in temporary variable at position 5. Swap 5 at position 6. Place 51. So 51 is continuously being swept as it is greater than the next value. Now see the sixth and the seventh term because the iteration will change now. So quickly doing for the sixth iteration. In sixth iteration, you have to check for sixth and the seventh term. Okay, sixth term is 51 and seventh term is 39. Since 51 is greater than 39, put 51 in temporary variable at position 6, put 39 and position 7, put 51. Quickly changing it here, 39 and 51. Now, moving towards the next index, that is index number 7. Changing all the values here. Okay, for index 7 or iteration 7, look at the 7th and the 8th term. It is 51 and it is 9. If 51 is greater than 9, put 51 in temporary variable. At position 7, place 9. At position 8, place 51. Make the swap variable true. Quickly changing it here. 9 at position 7, 51 at position 8. Now, doing for the 8th iteration. For 8th iteration, check for the 8th and the 9th term for temperatures. And if swapping is needed, do that. 8th term is 51 and the 9th term is 40. We need a swap. So 51 in temporary variable. Then at position 8, place 40. At position 9, place 51. Swap remains true. Change it in the list. 40 here, 51 here. Now the last iteration of this for loop, the 9th iteration. In the 9th iteration, we will see the 9th and the 10th term. So the 9th term is 51 and the 10th term is 12. So 51 is greater than 12. Put 51 in temporary variable. At position 9, place 12. At position 10, place 51. We did so many swapping functions, that's why swap variable will remain true. 51. So here we go. This is the end of our for loop because at first the for loop is having 9 iterations. We are done with it. And remember that at the end of your for loop, your final element or the 10th element is at its right position. Or in other words, I can say that the largest number is at the 10th position. That is very, very right. Depends upon the ascending order. Okay, so now in the next for loop, there is no need to consider the 10th value because that is already set. Now, after going outside the for loop, we will see here. This is the end of your for loop. Next to it, you have to decrement the value of last variable. Remember that initially the last variable was 10. So decrementing the last variable means it will be 10 minus 1, that is equals to 9. Now the new value for last variable becomes 9. I'm just making it here. Some changes. The first variable remains same. Next, we will check for the until conditions. Okay. The swap variable has a value true. And remember that if you place not swap, so it means that it will become false. So the first condition gets false. The swapping is done. So maybe more swapping is required. That's why we still need repeat until loop. Next is last equals to 1. Last equals to 1 is also false because just look at here, the last value is 9, it's not 1. So both the conditions are false. That's why we will again move towards repeat until loop. Remember that for the next iteration, the swap variable becomes false. So just changing the value for the swap variable here, that is false now. Initially it is false, and then when we do a swap, then it becomes true. Okay. Now, quickly go inside the for loop. But before that, let's see that how many iterations are needed now. So it starts from 1 till. Now, it is not 10 minus 1. The value of last variable is 9. So it will be 9 minus 1 equals to 8. So now we are going to have 8 iterations. So I'm making changes here. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. So we have 8 iterations total, 1 till 8. Starting with the first iteration, comparing the value of 1 and 2. Okay. Quickly removing all these values. Now, the first value is 7 and the second value is 21. So there is no need to swap. 7 is already less than 21. Now the second iteration. In the second iteration, we have 21. Look at the second and the third term. 21 and 6. 21 is greater than 6. So temporary variable gets 21 value. At position 2, place 6 value. At position 3, place 21. And now we did swap. So the swap variable becomes true. Do the swapping in your list. 6 here, 21 here. Now quickly moving towards the third iteration. Check for the third and the fourth value in your list. The third value is 21 and the fourth value is 20. We need a swap. Place 21 in temporary variable. At position 3, place 20. At position 4, place 21. Swap is already true. So make the changes in your list. 20 here and 21 here. Okay. Now the next is your fourth iteration. In the fourth iteration, again, you have to check for the fourth and the fifth value. So the fourth value here is 21 and the fifth value here is 5. Since 21 is greater than 5, so we need a swap. Put 21 in temporary variable. At position 4, place 5. At position 5, place 21. So again, we need lots of swapping. 5 and 21. Now compare fifth and the sixth value, 21 and 39. Since 21 is not greater than 39, so no need to swap. We are saved for the fifth iteration. Quickly moving towards the sixth iteration. In sixth iteration, see the sixth and the seventh term. Okay, here we need a swap. Why? Because the sixth value is 39 and the seventh value is 9. First, 39 is greater than 9. So 39 in temporary variable, at position 6 place 9, at position 7 place 39. Making the changes here 9 and 39. After that, check for the seventh. In the seventh iteration, check for seventh and the eighth term. Okay, 7 is 39 and 8 is 40. 39 is less than 40, so no need to swap. We are saved. Quickly moving towards the last iteration, that is the eighth iteration. Check for eighth and the ninth value. Eighth value is 40 and the ninth value is 12. We need a swap because 40 is greater than 12. So quickly doing that, placing 40 in temporary variable, at position 8 place 12, at position 9 place 40. After doing this, we are done with the second for loop, 12 and 40. And remember that every time we finish our for loop, we get the last value at its right position. So here we go, the second last value is 40. So there is no need to consider the ninth and the 10th term for comparison in the next for loop. Why? Because we have already set the highest values there, 40 and 51. So they are in ascending order now. Now, after finishing your for loop, you have to decrement the value of last. The previous value for the last variable was 9. Now 9 minus 1 is 8. So the new value for the last variable, I'm changing it here. Give me 1 minute. It's 8 now. And after that, check for the repeat until conditions. Swapping is true, not swap is false. And last equals to 1, it means false. Why? Because last value is 8. So now quickly moving towards another repeat until iteration. Swap becomes false. After that, check for the for iterations. So the for loop iterations will go from 1 till last minus 1. Last is now 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. So we will be having 7 iterations now. 1 till 7. Quickly starting with the first iteration. In the first iteration, check for the first and the second value. Okay, the first value is 7 and the second value is 6. Definitely we need a swap because 7 is greater than 6. Place 7 in temporary variable, at position 1 place 6, at position 2 place 7. Changing it in the list, 6 here and 7 here. In the second iteration, look at the second and the third value, that is 7 and 20. So no need to swap, 7 is less than 20. In the third iteration, check for the third and the fourth value, 20 and 5. We need a swap here. So quickly doing that, third and the fourth value. Third value is 20, fourth value is 5. Place 20 in temporary variable, at position 3 place 5, at position 4 place 20, putting it 5 here and 20 here. Now see for the fourth and the fifth term, because this is fourth iteration now. Fourth term is 20 and fifth term is 21. 20 is less than 21, no need to swap. Now check for the fifth iteration. In the fifth iteration, check for fifth and the sixth term. 21 and 9. So we need a swap here. Quickly doing that for you. 21, sorry. Fifth and sixth value, 21 greater than 9. Place 21 in temporary variable, at position 5. Place 9 at position 6. Place 21. Swap is true. Making the changes in the list, 9 here and 21 here. Now see for the sixth and the seventh term, no need to swap because 21 is less than 39. Now for the seventh and the last iteration, check for 39 and 12, the seventh and the eighth term. 39 is greater than 12, so we need to swap. Quickly doing that, 7th value and the 8th value. 39 greater than 12. So place 39 in temporary variable at position 7, place 12 at position 8, place 39. Making changes in your list, 12 here and 39 here. This is the end of your for loop, your third last number or temperature is finalized because 39 is the third largest number in your list. But it is lesser than 40 and 51, so it is at position number 8. Now there is no need to consider 8, 9 and 10 for comparison in the next for loop. Quickly making the last variable 7. From 8, it will be 8 minus 1, that is 7. Check for your conditions. The swap variable is true, not swap is false, and last equals to 7. So it is also false, it is not true. Both conditions are false, no need to go out of your loop. Go inside, make the swap variable false at the very first, calculate the iterations for your new for loop. It will go from 1 till last minus 1. Last is 7, 7 minus 1 is 6. This time we need 6 iterations. Starting with the first iteration, in number 1, first iteration, compare 6 and 7. No need to swap, 6 is less than 7. For the second iteration, compare to second and the third value. Second and the third value needs to be swapped. Why? Because 7 is greater than 5. So quickly doing that, second and the third value. Second value is 7, third value is 5. Placing 7 in temporary variable at position 2, place 5. At position 3, place 7. Making the changes in your list. 5 here and 7 here. Now, checking the third and the fourth term, because this is your third iteration, 7 and 20. No need to swap. Check for your fourth and the fifth value because this is fourth iteration now. Quickly making changes because we need a swap in fourth and the fifth term. Fourth term is 20 and the fifth term is 9. Place 20 in temporary variable at position 4, place 9, at position 5, place 20. We are done with swapping. 9 here, 20 here. Now compare the fifth and the sixth value in your fifth iteration. 20 and 21. Both are fine because 20 is less than 21. Now check for the sixth and the seventh term in your sixth iteration. 21 is greater than 12. So we need a swap here. Doing changes for you quickly. Sixth and the seventh term. Sixth term is 21 and seventh is 12. Putting 21 in temporary variable, putting 12 at sixth position and 21 at seventh position. Making changes here, 12 here and 21 here. So the seventh term in your temperature list is finalized. It is the fourth largest value, but less than 39, 40 and 51. So now quickly making this was the last iteration for the for loop. So we need to decrement the value of last now. It will become from 7, now it will become 6. Also make it here 6 and check for your repeat until condition. Swap is true, not swap is false. Last equals to 1. No, last equals to 6. Both the conditions are false. Go again, make the swap variable false. Check for your iterations. It starts from 1 till last minus 1. 6 minus 1 is 5. So this time we need 5 iterations. 1 till 5. Starting with the first iteration. In first iteration we have to check for the first and the second term. First term is 6, second term is 5. We need to swap because 5 is less than 6. Or in other words, 6 is greater than 5. Placing 6 in temporary variable at position 1, place 5, at position 2, place 6. Making changes. Since we are done with first swapping, so swap variable becomes true. Quickly see the second and the third value for the second iteration, 6 and 7, no need to swap. Now check for the third and the fourth term, 7 and 9, no need to swap. Check for the fourth and the fifth term, 9 and 20, no need to swap. Check for the last iteration, the fifth iteration, 5 and the fifth and the sixth term, 20 and 12. Definitely we need a swap. So, writing it here for you, the fifth term and the sixth term. Fifth term is 20, sixth term is 12. So putting 20 in temporary variable at position 5, place 12. At position 6, place 20. Swapping becomes true. Swap variable, make changes in your list. 12 here and 20 here. Now, quickly making the last, this is the last iteration this was, that's why going out of your for loop, make the last variable 5 now. It was 6 earlier, 6 minus 5, 6 minus 1 becomes 5, decrement it. Now check for your repeat until condition, swapping is true, not swap is false, last equals to 1, last equals to 5, so it is also false. Both conditions are false. Again go for your repeat until iteration, swap becomes false initially. Check for your iterations. For this time, for loop will start from 1 till last minus 1, that is 5 minus 1, 4. So we will be having 4 iterations only. Why? Remember that the sixth term is finalized. Why? Because it is getting the fifth largest value, that is less than 21, 39, 40, and 51. So it is at its right position. Now, doing the 4 iterations, which means considering only first till fifth term. For the first iteration, check for first and the second term, 5 and 6. No need to swap. For the second iteration, check for second and the third term, 6 and 7. No need to swap. For the third iteration, check for 7 and 9. And the last iteration for this for loop is the fourth iteration. In the fourth iteration, check for the fourth and the fifth term. So the fourth term is 9 and the fifth term is 12. So it's a lucky case in which no iteration needs swapping. When there is no iteration that needs swap, so remember that we have never gone inside then statements or the swapping function. So when we haven't gone inside the swapping function, so your swap variable remain false because initially it is false when you start another repeat until iteration. So it is false and it will remain false if you don't need any swapping in your iterations. So this is the best case. Now you will go ahead and you will decrement your last variable. Last minus 1, 5 minus 1 is 4. Now, when you are going to check for your conditions, remember that this time the swap variable is false, which means that no swapping is done and not swap makes it true. So in this case, we will understand that no more swapping is required because the swapping variable does not turn true or we have not done any swapping in the previous for loop iterations. So this becomes true, the first condition, but the second condition remains false because last is equals to 4. It is not equals to 1. But remember that until condition has an or in between. This or says that only one condition needs to be true to go out of your loop. So when you have no swapping, no more swapping required, you can go outside of your loop, which means that your list is in ascending order. In order to verify that, just check your numbers here. 5, 6, 7, 9, 12, then 20, 21, 39, 40, and 51. So we verified that all our temperatures are in ascending order. So this is how a bubble sort algorithm is work. Or if there is more swapping required, then the swap variable will become true and the loop will never terminate till the last term if the swap variable remains true. So in this way, we have to check for the values and we can make our list in ascending order. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope everything is clear to you. For more videos, please like, share and subscribe the channel with your friends and do not forget to subscribe. Bye bye.